Are you struggling focusing while studying? Then you're definitely not alone. We have the mindset, the technique, the environment, the human factor. Now let's speak on the mindset. What's a mindset? The mindset is a person's way of thinking or your mental attitude towards the world, a situation, or yourself. Now, as cliche as it sounds, we often hear motivational speakers say everything starts in the mind, but that's actually very true. Now, a lot of people have this ideology or this mindset that studying is hard, focusing is hard, and that really affects their focus while studying. Now, I had this course in school where I never really liked reading because I had this mindset that, oh, it was tough, it was a lot of structures and stuffs like that. And then I spoke to a friend recently and he was like, oh no, that course is actually pretty easy. Like, once you just get the hang of it, it's like a smooth flow, everything just blends in quickly. And I was like, oh, okay, let me give it a try, like once more. And I read through that course and actually it was quite not as hard as I thought. Pretty easy, if you may say. And then I realized that, oh, that's one of the reasons. And why reading it? Normally reading that course would be like so hectic to focus and in and out and like, oh my god, this is so tough and stuff like that. But then like with that mindset change because of that conversation I had, it made reading the course seem like less of a chore than it was. Not really a chore though, but it was less of a struggle, less of torture than it was. And it was pretty easy. So then I realized that mindset is actually one of the main things that affect students while studying. Instead of what do I have to read today? What do I have to do today? Oh, I have this amount of things to do today. Why don't we have a change of mindset with what knowledge do I get to acquire today? New stuff that I have to find out today. How can I get smarter and better? And it change in mindset actually affects and help with the way you study. Now we have your environment, very crucial. Now, environment is actually one of the main factors that help studying. Definitely. I've had this happen to me where your study table and stuff, but then you get bored of reading on the same spot and the same place and the same environment. And I do see why I switch this certain time. I'm always reading in the library, or I'm always reading in the class, or I'm reading in someone else's room, someone else's chair. If you're opportune to have like a cafe around, like you read in the cafe and you just kind of make it more adventurous reading, like getting like a plant on your table and stuff like that. And then I do this stuff where when I want to read, I get dressed up. If like I'm so bored of reading and it's just, I try to make it a little bit more spicy and stuff. Like I have my bath, I wear a fresh pair of clothes, I do my skincare, apply lip gloss, do a little bit of makeup. Sometimes even wear your shoe, like fully dressed kind of vibe, and then you just read. It's kind of like a switch. We also have the technique. I did find quite an amount of techniques I could use to study that help enhance you studying and stuff. And then I picked a few that I could quite relate to, and people around me kind of have practiced that it so work, because technique actually works with your type of person. If I'm to say what works for me might definitely not work for you. Like you just have to find what works for you. And so there are few techniques that I found. We have the Pomodoro technique. This technique involves you studying at a particular period of time and then taking breaks. So it's like you study for 25 minutes, then you take a 5 minutes break, then you go back to eat, you study for like 25 minutes. If you're studying for a large period of time, let's say like for 3 hours, and instead of you like studying for the 3 hours, you break it. You do like 30 minutes, you take a 5 minutes break, 30 minutes, take a 5-minute break, you tick off your first set of Pomodoro done, your second set done, stuff like that. Kind of makes it a little bit more interesting. And then we have the spaced practice. The spaced practice is a distributed way of learning. It's like you learn today, you learn the course. You learn the course. Okay, let's say today you learn the course. Tomorrow you kind of read through it. And 3 days later, you go over it again. A week later, you go over it again. So I don't know if you kind of get the ideology of the PQR for practice. You preview, you question, you read, you reflect, you recite, and you review. Now let's take preview. Now the preview is just skimming through what you have to read. Reading through the headline, the subheading, the text, and just a brief skim through what you have to read before actually getting to read it. And then the question is formulating questions like what do you know about the course first of all? Is the question. What is the topic about? What are the characteristics? What are the functions? What are the clinical significance of stuff of the topic? You formulate questions like that. So while reading, you kind of like you're heading to answer those questions, if you get what I'm saying. Like you're not just reading abruptly, just reading like that. Like you're reading with a goal, with more of a purpose. And then we have reading, just like I said, the first R is to read, to kind of identify the answers to those questions that you have formulated. Then you reflect. Did I really answer all those questions? Did this question go where? Does it really align? And stuff like that. And you recite, kind of summarize, not really like reciting as much, but more of a summary. Kind of like summarize what you've read, the whole outline. You summarize it in your own words, simpler words that, okay, yes, I've got to understand it. There's this stuff a lecturer of mine always says. He said, how to know if you've read through, if you've read and actually understood something is if you're able to explain it to a 9-year-old that has literally no idea about what you're talking about and make him or her understand what you're talking about, and you've actually learned through it. You can practice with your friend, you can do it with somebody, just to help make sure you actually understand that course and you're not just reading and just going forward like that and just reading through. And then we have the review. You are going through what you've read, the questions you've answered, quite self-explanatory. Then we have the QRRR, which is a question, read, recite, and review. It's kind of like what we just spoke about right now. You formulate the questions, you read pertaining to the questions, you recite, summarize it, simpler words, your own words, and you review it. Do I really understand it? Have I answered all the questions? Am I okay with how far I've learned it? Let's talk about the human factor. So now, the human factor, or as I call it, ergonomics, it's like the basic things: your sleep, rest, eat, your water intake, and stuff like that. So it's making sure that these factors that help strengthen and give the body energy are not neglected, because majority of times when you're in school you really have, I don't have time to eat, I don't have time to read, I don't have time to sleep. Like if I sleep I feel like I'm falling back, I feel like I'm wasting my time, I don't have time. Drinking water, I don't have the time. Those actually human factors actually matter, and you actually have to consider them and put them into consideration when trying to improve your study focus. If you don't sleep, ensure you have 6 hours of sleep. Make sure you eat your balance, trying to eat balanced diet, add vegetables to eat. Just don't eat starch and rice and bread, and just try to balance what you eat as much as possible. Get more fibers into your body and stuff like that. Then exercise. Oh my god, I can't seem to emphasize on this as much. Exercising, even though it's just walk, a walk around your hostel or your school, or just your workout, like get an at home workout. I do this where in my room. I kind of, in fact, I got it from my brother. It's called the four P's. That's why I call it four P's. Actually, three P and an S. I just call it the four P's. It's one personal, one physical, one professional, and one spiritual. So we kind of like keep ourselves accountable and tick it up. One spiritual, you wake up either in the morning or in the night. You read your Bible, you connect with God and stuff like that. And one physical exercise, you work out or you take a walk. You just have to account for something physical that you have done. Then one personal, if you are, because school keeps on. You just have to build your personal life and stuff like that. So one personal, if it's your content creation, like mine now, and I'm taking this off my one person, I've created this video for today. It can be calling your family, as easy as that, talking to your friends, something personal, replying to those DMs that you haven't replied to in a long time because you're busy, you're neglecting your friends, you don't have time for anything. Like, actually focus on your personal aspect of your life. And then one professional. Have you read today? Your personal reading time. Have you accomplished any stuff today? Did you go to class today? Did you do this today? Something professional, something that has to do with your studies. Because that's the stage we are right now. Getting our degree, we're in college, we're in university. We're trying to at least account for something. They can't be paying these fees and then you're slacking behind. It doesn't make sense. I hope this video was able to enlighten you a little bit on how to focus on your studies, focus while studying,